Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well and staying safe during this time. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Like I said, thank you so much for checking me out. If you haven't done so, please make sure to hit that subscribe button just right below the video. Cool, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And if you're returning, welcome back. Thanks again for your support. I truly do appreciate having you here.
So I want to start this thing off and cover a new narrative that I see being built behind the scenes on Ripple and XRP that I think you guys are actually really gonna enjoy. As a member of the XRP community for a while now, it seems like we have always been surrounded by negative narratives and FUD. Well, I want to show you guys something being built behind the scenes by some of the most powerful regulators in the world that is actually extremely bullish for the status of XRP as we move into a new age financial system. Now, what really made me start digging into this was this tweet by Real Boy XRP, and he tweeted out that the BIS, and the BIS is the Bank of International Settlements, also commonly known as the Central Bank of Central Banks, said in one of its annual reports that effective regulation of digital coins is needed on a global scale. And something that I thought was really interesting were the specific words global scale. Because one of the things that is going to be critical to an effective regulatory approach to digital assets is a regulatory environment that expands and is consistent across every single major jurisdiction. It doesn't make sense for every country to have their own policy towards digital assets because digital assets move through the internet at the speed of light. They are not contained within borders, they are not contained within countries, and therefore it is almost impossible to impose separate and segregated regulatory policies on digital assets because you'd simply be reintroducing the same problem that digital assets look to solve. Instantaneous settlement all over the world and the removal of friction. Having a fragmented policy around this technological innovation not only would be very detrimental to the technology, but would be practically impossible to enforce in any meaningful way. Therefore, the best way to create a regulatory policy for digital assets is one that is all-encompassing and is consistent across the entire world. Therefore, I tweeted out that the BIS is pointing out that it makes zero sense to call XRP a security in the US when the rest of the world has already publicly recognized that it is not. End this sham of a lawsuit. What is the point of trying to call XRP a security in the US if the rest of the world has already said it's not? What, is XRP gonna be not a security all over the world, and then magically whenever it enters a US territory it suddenly becomes a security again? That doesn't make any sense, and the funniest part about it is you could get around the entire thing with something as simple as a new IP address. Calling XRP a security in the United States would instantaneously undermine any potential effort by these regulators to create a cohesive regulatory policy for digital assets worldwide. And I think this meme by Mac Attack XRP is a great visual representation on how absurd it would be if the US actually did try to call XRP a security. Take a look at this and you guys will understand how crazy it is that the SEC actually thinks it's a good idea for the entire world to call XRP a currency, and suddenly suddenly, as soon as it gets to the US, it becomes a security. It doesn't make any sense, but I think the important part is it looks like the United States might actually recognize this, and the SEC might be a rogue agency who's still trying to put it all together. Let me show you what I mean. If we take a look at the most recent executive order out of the White House, we can see a lot of similarities from what I was just talking about to what was actually in this executive order. And Real Boy XRP actually pointed out that there are many aspects of this executive order that actually look like they're directly out of Ripple's playbook. We know Ripple is constantly working with different regulators to form policy, but is it possible that Ripple is working with the US to form policy while getting sued by the SEC? Well, I want to show you a statement from this executive order and let you guys decide that for yourselves. Right here, directly from the executive order out of the White House. Technology-driven financial innovation is frequently cross-border and therefore requires international cooperation among public authorities. This cooperation is critical to maintaining high regulatory standards and a level playing field. Uneven regulation, supervision, and compliance across jurisdictions creates opportunities for arbitrage and raises risk to financial stability and the protection of consumers, investors, businesses, and markets. So if you are thinking what I was thinking when I first read this, you are probably thinking, wow, that actually sounds like it might make sense. And it sounds like the SEC had zero involvement in creating this. Why is that? Because the SEC is convinced the United States should take a regulatory approach that is completely different and segregated from almost every other country and jurisdiction all around the world. And now it's time to blow your guys' mind. I want to show you guys what Ripple is pushing for. What Ripple is telling the different regulators, and I want you guys to pay very close attention to this word right here in the executive order, level playing field, because this word tends to come up a lot in how Ripple addresses the regulation of the digital asset space. I want to show you this quick clip, and I think you guys are really gonna start to see the connections developing.
There has to be a level playing field, both for new entrants as well as legacy entrants. And I think that's really, that I think is a fair playing field for everyone to play within.
It's like, why would we want this internet of value that puts everything on a level playing field? And there's a couple reasons. So one of them is we think we can win on a level playing field. XRP is faster and cheaper and perfectly positioned for the use case.
Well, I think that should make it fairly obvious who is driving the future narrative for the regulation of digital assets in the US. Ripple's vision for a level playing field is being put into place, while the SEC's idea of separate jurisdictions with independent regulatory frameworks looks like it is dying in front of its own eyes. I have no doubt for regulation of digital assets to be effective, it needs to be on a level playing field, it needs to be consistent across all the countries in the world, and it needs to provide the guidelines to help embrace the innovation digital assets bring rather than stifle it. Ripple's guidelines does exactly that, and it looks like that narrative is being put in place by the White House for the future of the United States' cryptocurrency regulatory framework. Last of all, I very quickly wanted to cover a tweet thread that Attorney Bill put out on Twitter. I thought it was super interesting, and essentially what he was saying is he believes now is the perfect time for the SEC to settle this case with Ripple, and he believes now is actually a time where Ripple would be willing to consider a settlement by the SEC. Why is that? Well, Ripple just had summary judgment pushed off for a very long time and now would have to wait until 2023 to win this case outright against the SEC. On the other hand, the SEC has a ticking time bomb coming down the pipeline, and that is the Hinman emails. They will have to hand those over eventually, and the longer they take to settle this case with Ripple, the closer they come to actually having to hand those things over. Now is the perfect point for the SEC to leverage the fact that Ripple will have to wait until 2023 to end this case outright, but also the perfect time for them to get out of ever having to hand over the Hinman emails.
I'm your guy. I will keep you posted. I'm your advocate. I'll be back on a daily basis, usually multiple times per day, with these videos to keep you updated with everything going on. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you haven't done so, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Feel free to share any of my videos with your friends, family, social media, or anybody who may care to listen. Thanks so much for your continued support. I'm always here for you. I want to help you through this time. So thank you so much for continuing to choose me. Enjoy your day, stay safe, and I'll catch you again probably in a couple hours. Thanks, everybody. See you later.